Bear down, Chicago Bears. We've got a wild one right now. Chicago Bears just agreed to terms for Ryan Bates. This is a guard slash center for the Buffalo Bills, pending physical. And when the season starts, or when free agency starts, there's going to be a trade. It'll be completed pretty quickly, I would say, and we're going to have our new center. Is what it appears like. Now the Bears gave up a fifth round pick in 2024 for Ryan Bates, meaning that the Bears now only have 5 draft picks in this upcoming draft. Now, this leads to some very interesting questions right now, especially concerning the quarterback position. If you go with the first pick overall and you pick Caleb Williams at this point, you have nobody as an upgrade on your offense to really kind of throw the ball to. And hear me out here. When you go to the 9 pick, you could still have, say, Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors. One or the other might be available. Brock Bowers might be available. But you've also got some issues here, and that is um, when you get beyond that, then you're talking about the twins, basically from Texas. You're talking about going down to Keon Coleman for Florida State. And when I say go down, no disrespect to these guys. These guys put in a lot of work, but they're not Marvin Harrison Jr. They're not Malik Neighbors. They're not Roma Dunze. Like, these guys have set themselves apart from everybody else. There's those three, and there's the rest of the pack. Well, it becomes very difficult for you to upgrade this offense in a sustainable way if you only have 5 picks and you're reducing that as we go. And listen, I like Ryan Bates. This is a really good selection, but let's just say, for instance, that replaces Cody Whitehair because Ryan Bates, despite that, a lot of these guys are going to come out here right now and tell you, oh, I love this hire. I think this is great. I love this trade. This is going to be a great trade. This is wonderful. Well, it is for a 5th round. It is for a 5th round selection, but it's not overall. It's not overall a big time player. It's not like we've gotten somebody who's. But by the way, when I say that, no disrespect to Ryan Bates, he's played in 17. He played every game for I think 3 years now. So I'm going to show you his stats in just a second here, and we'll cover it a lot more in the morning. I just want to give you this breaking news because there was also breaking news that came out about Darnell Mooney, and we just found out that Darnell Mooney, surprise, surprise, decided not to sign his extension and agreed to bet on himself. Darnell Mooney apparently was offered some money and did not take it. So it's going to be a really interesting time to see how this really kind of manifests itself and how it plays out. But let's look at Ryan Bates here. So this is on the Chicago Bears website, and it says that the Bears on Monday bolstered their offensive line by agreeing to terms on a trade with the Bills that brings offensive lineman Ryan Bates to Chicago in exchange for a 2024 5th round pick. The trade cannot become official until the new league year begins at 3 p.m. Wednesday, March the 13th, after Bates passes a physical. Bates has appeared in 73 regular season games with 19 starts through 5 seasons in Buffalo. He also has played in 9 playoff games during his career with 4 starts. The Penn State product went undrafted in 2019. 6'4", 302-pounder, signed with the Eagles in May before being traded to the Bills in August. Bates made his first career start in Week 4 of 2021. Now, listen, we need to at least think this through. He signed, by the way, through 2026. He signed his last deal was a couple years, so he signed through 2026. In 2022, he started all 17 games, including 2 playoff games. And in 2023, he appeared in all 17 of Buffalo's games. And when you come over to his stats, then you can see right here, he was a starter for the games that he played in 2022, and he started 4 games over here, but he came off of the bench as a backup in 2023. So you got to ask yourself, I mean, it's a 5th round pick. So realistically speaking, this is a good move, not a great move. Well, let me rephrase that. This is a great move if you get a guy like this for a 5th round pick. But I just want to say, I don't know that this is any different than Dan Feeney. I don't know if it's any different than Lucas Patrick. I don't know if this is any different than some of the guys that we already had. Now, when I say that, I don't want it to feel disrespectful. I like those guys. They just, that we needed a really good center, and we didn't have a really good center. But he's given up no sacks in his career. It looks like, or no fumbles. Um, and he looks like he's had one fumble recovery. So, not much in statistics to really go on. So we don't really have an idea of, we can watch the product on the field. I watched a little bit of game tape going into it to see, kind of how this guy was. Was he any good? What did he look like? I mean, look, guy looks tough. He looks like a good defender. It looks like a pretty decent pass protection, good run. He's a good run blocker. I can say that. But we'll see whether or not this is a good move. Now, look, that means that we now have only 5 draft picks. What are you going to do with 5 draft picks? So it's going to get a little bit weird for the Chicago Bears. You know, when this draft gets here, unless something happens. Now, it could be, and I do want to point this out, either through one machination or the other. The first one being maybe, just maybe, there's already a trade for Justin Fields, and we're going to get a decent draft pick or two, maybe. I don't know that's the case. Or we've made a decision to trade down from the number 1, or we're going to do something with the number 9. This really becomes tricky at this point. Remember, the one free agent that we I think really kind of looked at as, this is the guy that we would really want to see if there was some magical free agent that we wanted, and that was Mike Evans. Mike Evans is no longer available, so he's re-signed 26 million a year for 2 years with Tampa Bay. Basically going to finish his career in Tampa Bay, I would say, or take one final round, maybe 2 more years, then go to a team that's going to the Super Bowl, something like that. The drill. The tale is old as time for the NFL players. But it just looks like, and it seems like to me that we don't have a guy out there. Maybe you can talk about Curtis Samuel, but I mean, let's face it, when you have a choice between the two, 99 times out of 100, you're going to take Mike Evans. So he's not available. So you need a receiver still. And the question is, where do you go and how deep do you go into the draft in order to get that receiver? And, really, when you're looking at it at this point, what is it that you get? Who is it that you can get out there that's going to be, let's check out best receivers in the draft. That obviously we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. He is the class of the draft, obviously. And then Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. Then you got Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, Devontae Walker, Keon Coleman, Donnie Mitchell, Xavier Legette. And then going down there was also Xavier Worthy, who was also at Texas. And he comes up, at different points. And then later on in 3rd and 4th round, you have people like Jamari Thrash, other people like that. But once you get past Rome Odunze, then there is a big drop off because look at this. You've got Marvin Harrison. You've got him at number 2 overall. You got Malik Neighbors on the big board as number 4, and then Rome Odunze at number 7. And then it drops all the way down to 21. Now that still should be considered a really good guy. Hey, what's up, Crow? Hope you're having a good evening. But so you drop to 21, then you drop to 26, then you drop to 31. Now you might, in a normal circumstance, be able to say, well, you know what? I mean, so what? It's still a 1st round draft pick. And that's fair enough. I mean, it's still a 1st round draft pick or potential 1st round draft pick in Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin, or Ladd McConkey. But that's a huge drop off from Marvin Harrison Jr. And the more you listen to a lot of these guys out here talking about the Bears just can't flub up this draft. They can't flub this one up. They can't screw this one up. They're going to screw it up if they don't take Marvin Harrison Jr. That's going to be the screw up. That's the one that there shouldn't be any argument that he's the generational talent. There's no argument there that anybody could reasonably make, except Malik Neighbors, who thinks that he should be the Blitnikoff Award winner. I mean, other than that, it's widely perceived that he is the generational talent in this draft. There's still, first of all, I see the game tape. Everybody sees the game tape on Caleb Williams. But there's the other part of the game that, how's he going to handle pressure? So far, so good. So far, so good. But in again, this goes back to my preference. I want what's best for the Chicago Bears. In my opinion, the Chicago Bears are better served by sticking with the quarterback that they have, at least for this next year, because I think that he gives them a better shot at getting into the playoffs and winning some playoff games. That's just my personal opinion. And then if it doesn't work out, if for any reason it doesn't work out, then move on at the end of this year, in the fourth year, and let him go in restricted free agency, or give somebody an opportunity to make a trade for him, whatever, try to upsell something like that. That's potentially something that can happen, and that's what I'm looking to see, or that's what I would like to see. And by the way, I will be live at 9:30 again tomorrow, to go over all of this, and we'll do a deeper kind of dive into it, because this is kind of a weird time right now, and you know. But Darnell Mooney also, let's point this out. Let's get this one up on the board. Darnell Mooney declined a 3-year option before the 2023 season. That is crazy. He was looking to bet on himself in his final season on his rookie deal. Um, and that, I feel really bad for Darnell Mooney. I feel really bad for Darnell Mooney because he bet on himself, and I don't think that he won. I don't think that he won. But here's the thing: even though he didn't win in betting on himself on the field, I think he's probably going to get between 10 and 13 million. Somebody out there is going to give him more than $10 million a year, I think. I think they're going to look past 2023, and they're going to say, well, you know what? This was not the offense for him. He was not fit in the right place. And I think that they're going to pay him. So even though it looks like it didn't work out in his favor at this point, you can also look at Brad Biggs here, and Brad Biggs just, God damn it. There's a cautionary tale here for Mooney as he turned down an extension offer from the Bears before last season started. As I understand it, he had a 3-year deal worth more than $10 million annually on the table. Now, is that a cautionary tale? I mean, really, do we think that that's a cautionary tale? I don't think it is. I think that this really is, even if he did have a bad year, that people want receivers, and Sports Track, whatever, projects Mooney to earn 10.4 million on his next contract. They actually said 13 million. There's no saying for sure what his market value projects, but a deal of that nature would save him after declining a deal in that range 1 year ago. And look, there's gonna be somebody who's gonna want to pay Darnell Mooney type money, and it probably comes in at about 12 million a year. So I think that Brad Biggs is wrong in this, but we'll see what happens. But the big news of the day for everybody, Ryan Bates is, I mean, I guess you call him a replacement for Cody Whitehair. You can't really put him into uh we are staying with no picks but the picks. I don't know. It's really getting weird. And Foster Cover says 30 years, 3 years, 30 million. Yeah, that was the offer that apparently was out there. And look, I think he didn't make a wise bet because he underperformed for the season. So I don't think that that was a wise bet. But I think at the end of this, it doesn't matter, because I think the market is still in his favor, and he's still going to get a big contract. So, I mean, just my opinion. Anything could happen over the next little while. And Darnell, he's been, really is a workhorse, and I think that we all kind of looked and watched in awe as he was on the field last year, training super hard, trying to get himself ready for whatever his big next move was going to be. And he thought, I think, that it was on the field. I think he was really confident that he was going to have a gigantic year, and he was going to play his way into a bigger deal. So I think he bet on himself, and that didn't work. So for sure, maybe that part. But overall, he's I think he's still going to make out just fine. I think he's still just going to be fine. So um, it's a little weird, though. It's a little weird to see some of these things popping out as they are, because remember, these are the times where nothing happens by coincidence. By the way, so when Ryan Poles makes this, we don't see the full tapestry, obviously, but we see uh, this trade for Ryan Bates. Again, this is a backup for Cody Whitehair. This is replacing Cody Whitehair. I don't know that this is a starting center. It could be a starting center, and if it is, he's going to be serviceable enough. I don't think that there's anything wrong necessarily with Ryan Bates. So when I say we got him for a 5th-round pick, that's a steal because he is starter level in the NFL. So trading for a 5th-round pick, I mean, I guess that's a pretty good deal. I don't like the fact that there's only 5 picks. I got to go back to that because it makes me incredibly nervous that we only have 5 choices now, especially if you consider the needs and the positions of need. So I go back to it one more time, and I say that if we take Caleb Williams, and if we don't get if we don't get somebody elite with that 9 pick, then it will feel like a failed draft. It really will. Now, the good news would be if we took Caleb Williams, then Brock Bowers could be available at that spot. If not, then you're just gonna have to find somebody in free agency to upgrade. Probably not Darnell Mooney, by the way, but you got to upgrade. You have to upgrade the wide receiver room. You need at least bodies on the field. So you're going to have to get, you have to bring some people in, of course, and maybe you reach down later in the draft and maybe you get somebody later. But I mean, really, if I'm drawing this out right now, let me be real clear about what I think is going on at this point. I think that what we just saw was Ryan Poles letting people know that whatever we thought was going to happen is no longer on the table. I think what he really did here was show that he might be willing to keep Justin Fields. Now that's possibly pie in the sky wishful thinking from me because again, I want to win right now. I don't want to continue a rebuild. I'm tired of rebuilds. I'm tired of everything taking forever. I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen now. I want to see the Bears win. You know, um, and I think that the move here, my move, no matter what, is trade that pick and get Marvin Harrison Jr. And while you're at it, there's been some updates to my draft analyst thing, and really it just says that it looks like, and this is not confirmed, by the way. This is not something that's confirmed, but it looks like the draft capital that could be available, or was potentially or is potentially available, would look something like this. It would look like Washington would give up the number 2, the number 36, the number 40, the number 67, and the first round for 2025. How good is Washington going to be next year? I don't know. But, this seems like a pretty good deal. Now, if that's not the pick, then Las Vegas is willing to give up 13, 44, and 77. And look, I don't want to move down where I can't get Marvin Harrison Jr. That doesn't benefit me, but it is out there, and it's a decent haul. And then you have New England with the number 3, the number 34, and the number 68, which I actually think is preferable because you get a first rounder in 2025 and a second rounder in 2025. But this picks up 3 more picks in this one up top near the top of the draft. And just to give you guys an example, if I were to accept that trade right there and then reject this, then now I've got my Marvin Harrison right here. And then I've got that 9 pick right here. So I've gotten just if you follow me here, I've gotten my wide receiver. I've got the guy, the generational talent that I want to have. I just got him, right? So now what do I need at the number 9? Well, I need an edge rusher, right? I need a new safety. I need a center. I need something real good. I'm not getting any good trade offers. So, we'll just reject all of that. And then what do we do? I mean, do we take Brock Bowers? Here's the question right now. Do you take Brock Bowers? Let me know what you think in chat, by the way. Do we take Brock Bowers or do we take Dallas Turner? Because those are 2 points of need. And look, if defense wins championships. So let me say that one more time. Defense wins championships. So I would say Dallas Turner, by the way, he showed out in the combine, right? I mean, I think we all saw the product on the field, and that guy was absolutely going out of his way to make everybody else look second rate. But you got Brock Bowers, you got Roma Dunze. You've got Luatu Latu. You got Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton, by the way, best defensive tackle in this draft. So, I mean, you know what I mean? So let's just do this. It would be my opinion that Brock Bowers is a generational tight end. So I'm going to take Brock Bowers because now I think I have a generational wide receiver and a generational type tight end. So I think that my draft right here is just absolutely, I just think it's just absolutely crushed right there. Okay. So if I reject these trades, by the way, and I continue to stay in my positions here, now I've got number 34 in the draft. Now, what do I do here? I just picked up the guy that a decent guy. I got Cody White here, sub. Okay. Again, I'm not calling him a starter. I'm saying I feel like I got myself my sub that I really needed, right? So I've got the number 34 pick in this range. And here's the question at this point: what position do I need to fill? Right? What I need to do at this point would be I need my center, right? And the number 2 center overall, Jackson Powers Johnson, just not going to be available. I don't really, I've tried, by the way. It's very tough to get him at this point. Because he's not elite enough for that number 9 pick. It doesn't make sense. And then there's too many more elite players. And then when you move down just a little bit, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? Because you have to give up something, and then you have to move up. You have to give up some of the picks in order to do that. Well, how about this? How about Zach Frazier, the number 2 guy? Now I have a center, and I'm not reaching too far with this. So I think I'm in a pretty good position. So now the question becomes, what else do I need? Well, I need a safety, right? So what about Kalen Bullock? Kalen Bullock is a second round safety. Boom. I think I've really kind of captured what we needed in the draft. And at this point, I think that the next move here is to just really start to find some big bodies to fill up space, right? Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle out of Michigan, strong motor, great player. He fills up the Justin Jones area that might be a problem. Boom. I just moved down a little bit. And now here's the thing. I feel like I need 2 defensive tackles. So if you'll grant me, I want Braden Fisk, because if you watch Braden Fisk in the combine, Braden Fisk was the best defensive tackle out there. Like, he was the fastest, he was the strongest, like he was the guy that was making the moves, if you will. So we're going to reject that. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to reach for a backup edge, because I know, Demarcus Walker, he's not it. You know what I mean? Like, we that's not what we need. So we're going to get Jonah Ellis, and then we're going to see what happens there. Now we're going to pick up Layden Robinson out of Texas A&M. Now the question at this point would be, do I really need another guard? Can you ever have too many guards? What would what would you think of that? Well, I got 2 defensive tackles so far. I need some. I need some depth here. I need some people, just in case. By the way, just in case somebody gets injured, or just in case one of these guys doesn't work as well as they could. Layden Robinson at offensive guard. I would love to see him have some tackle skills, but I'm going to go with the best available in this position. Again, taking into account that what I want is somebody who's a big guy, takes up a lot of space. But there we go. So now in this situation, I got 8 picks instead of, I didn't get my 10 or 11 picks I would really love to have to finish this team out. But here's what I got. I got Marvin Harrison Jr. We got Brock Bowers. So, I mean, I think I won the draft at that point, right? But then we follow that up with Zach Frazier, fills a desperate need that the Bears have had for a long period of time. Again, I don't think that Ryan Bates is that guy. I think Ryan Bates is a great and serviceable backup, but I don't know that he's going to be that starter guy. Then you have Kalen Bullock, which is safety from USC, second round pick. Then you have Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Then Braden Fisk, defensive tackle out of Florida State. You do need 2 defensive tackles in this draft. Jonah Ellis, edge rusher out of Utah, and then Layden Robinson, offensive guard out of Texas A&M. My preference here would have been to be able to get rid of Larry Borum. But first of all, there's no trade market for Larry Borum. All I could do is release him. And that would be, and that would be super expensive. And he's a big body and he tries, even if he's not very good. So, you're almost kind of stuck keeping him on the roster, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. And Muck says Bates is going to end up being the starting center. I don't care. Zach Frazier is a good and serviceable backup that could work his way into the starting lineup. And we don't need him to start right away. He can learn the game and he can get better and better and better as he goes. So it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And then I got the number one and the number. I got the first round and second round picks for New England. You know, and Lord Crimson says if you get a better left tackle, Braxton could kick inside. But here's the thing: I don't think Braxton doesn't grade out as a bad guy. I mean, at this point, he's continued to improve. He's continued to impress. So I get the sense and the feeling here that that he's going to be fine. He's got I think that Braxton Jones is not the problem. Like we would be addressing what is not a problem. So it will, we'll have to see. In case 72 says we need to get Jackson Powers, it's so hard to do that. Like if if and I go through these mock drafts all the time, and it is so hard to get him while still being able to do anything. You have to there has to be a real compromise in order to get him. So if I just consider doing what I did before here, which was I took this trade right here. If I take this trade right here, Caleb Williams and Joe Alt is gone. So then I'm going to reject these trades right here because I got the number 3, and I'm going to take Marvin Harrison. So I'm done right there. So now here's the thing. If I want to get to Jackson Powers Johnson, he is around number 20 overall. So I'm going to have to get into the number 20 slot in order to get him, which means that I'm going to have to go down, or I'm going to have to trade up one way or another and see what somebody would take. And then I would just be giving up draft picks in order to get him. And he's not so remarkably better than Zach Frazier that you would give up more draft capital. My entire purpose is to tell you guys that we need more draft capital, not less. It just doesn't seem like it's a thing that I would love to have him. I love to have him. It would be fantastic if it were available. But here's what's happening right now. I've got elite players, and this is what I say. I can fill that position with Lloyd Cushenberry. I've got Aaron Brewer out there. I've got Connor Williams. Connor Williams has an ACL. I know that, but I've got 3 serviceable guys that are really, really good. I've got Ryan Bates, who can actually play the position and is better than Lucas Patrick. At least I think he's better than Lucas Patrick, and we got him for a 5th round pick. Or we got Zach Frazier coming through in the 2nd or 3rd round. So I really don't think that Jackson Powers Johnson it's too difficult to get to him. It's too expensive for the Bears to make that move. Now, in the number 9 slot, again, we come down to it. The last time I took Brock Bowers, but right now, look what I've got available here. I've still got Dallas Turner. I've still got Terrion Arnold. I've still got Latu Latu. I've still got Johnny Newton. I've still got Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle. And then I've still got Jared Verse. And Jared Verse dominated. The only person even close to Dallas Turner was Jared Verse. Jared Verse dominated in the combine drills. So then I got Keon Coleman coming in here. I got Quinyon Mitchell. I've got Jackson Powers Johnson, but that's too far to reach down. Number 9, taking the number 20 guy at number 9 doesn't really make a lot of sense when you have this level of talent and that much need. And that much need. So Jesus Godines Jesus says, I don't understand this trade, a 5th round pick for a cut candidate. So he's not a cut candidate. He played every game. He started 15 games the season before. So I think that he's actually, and he played some, and he was in some playoff games. So I don't think there's anything wrong with him fundamentally. I think he's actually a good player, and he's an upgrade to Lucas Patrick, and he only cost a 5th round pick. And what we did need, Jesus, is we needed somebody to replace Cody White here. And this is a younger, better Cody White here, if you will. So I don't know that he gives you the spark along the way. Like he's probably not going to set the world on fire. There's nothing that says that he's going to be a superstar at the position. He's undrafted free agent that found his way with the Philadelphia Eagles, ended up getting traded to the Buffalo Bills, but he's been decent enough, right? He's been doing decent enough. So that means that we're like, here we are, and we're stuck. Like this, again, we're stuck. Like I take Marvin Harrison Jr. because I'm drafting down and I'm picking up draft capital. But again, like, what do I need the most at this point? At the number 9 pick, do I need to trade down, or do I need to take Brock Bowers or Dallas Turner, or you know what I mean? And again, it always comes back to me. This is almost a no-brainer. Brock Bowers. To me, it's a no-brainer. He is the best since George Kittle, for sure. The best tight end to come out since George Kittle. And right here, this like right here now, this is where it could get interesting. By the way, now I've got pick number 50 and 53 being offered to me from the Dallas Cowboys for pick number 34 and my third round pick next year. And then I've got this. I'm going to reject that offer and I'm going to accept this one. So we're going to trade down from that 34 slot and go down to 50. And then we're going to keep that pick, and then we're going to reject the rest of them. And now Zach Frazier went the spot before. Damn. Well, so much for that idea. I actually had a great idea there that went to shit because the draft be the draft. So we're going to take Tavondre Sweat, which is the defensive tackle. Still need Tavondre Sweat. And then we need another one. So what about Michael Hall Jr., or what about Chris Braswell, or what about Braylon Trice? You know, each one of these guys are very, very good players in their own right. I got Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State, also an elite guard. Could he play some center? I'm going to say probably so. And then Cedric Van Pran, by the way, is still my little nugget here that I might be able to get a little bit further down in this draft. So we're going to see what happens here. For the moment now, I just took a defensive tackle. So right now I want to take an edge rusher, and I'm going to take Chris Braswell because I like the SEC. Now we got the next pick at number 68. Number 68 gives me Cedric Van Pran. Boom. I'm looking up here at Jatavion Sanders. I don't need another tight end. Probably going to get Mercedes Lewis for one more year, too, as he retires. Cedric Van Pran, high third round guy, center. Probably a better selection than Bates. Probably. But look, Bates is going to be playing every game. You know, he's healthy. He plays a lot. So, and then I got Caleb Bullock. Kalen Bullock always comes into my drafts. You know what I mean? Like, because I am looking for that center or that safety, sorry. And I'm finding him in those spots, right? So now I still need depth on the line. So, you know, what am I looking for? Mekhi Wingo, got my defensive tackle here. Now I'm going to have to pick up a little bit of capital on that offensive line. So we need Christian Mahogany. Always go back to him. Big, big, big body. And then boom. And now we got Matt Goncalves as a potential backup over here. Let's go all. And I still need a running back, by the way. Anybody got a line on a running back? Dylan Johnson ain't cutting it for me. Ray Davis from Kentucky runs hard, but I don't like him. Not going to get a running back out of this part of the draft. So we're going to be out a running back. But when you got that problem, what do? You go here, Matt Goncalves, big tackle from Pittsburgh. Boom. So now in the event that Larry Borum could be moved on from, we now have a tackle potentially that, you know, Chris, I took Cedric Van Pran in this draft. So trying to look ahead to you're right, we do need one. But look at this. We ended up we got 9 players in this draft. When it went a little bit, I don't think it went better than the previous one, but we got those we got the 25 and the we got the 25 first and second round from New England. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Bowers, Tavondre Sweat, Chris Braswell, Cedric Van Pran, Kalen Bullock, Mekhi Wingo, Christian Mahogany, and Matt Goncalves. We got a lot of capital on the lines. So, you know, and by the way, Lord Crimson, I really think that at this point, the line is fixed. I stress, I think Braxton Jones is really, I think he's really come along, and I don't think he was a problem towards the end of the year. But, you know, in this situation, you consider this. Marvin Harrison starts right away. Brock Bowers starts right away. Tavondre Sweat doesn't need to start right away. We can develop him. Chris Braswell probably doesn't need to start. Probably doesn't need to start. Maybe gets a little bit of behind everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter how it depends on how good he is. But Demarcus Walker's serviceable enough. Cedric Van Pran, however, from Georgia. Georgia's a tough team playing in the SEC. He's the starting center, and he's coming in at the beginning of the third round, so it's perfect. Then you got Kalen Bullock, safety, replacing Eddie Jackson. Makai Wingo, Christian Mahogany, and then Matt Goncalves. So there we go. And look, I mean, we could draft Caleb Williams, but that's a lot to take a number one draft pick just for a long snapper. I mean, does he play any other position but long snapper? Oh God, I love when the Caleb Maxis come in. And look, there's nothing wrong with Caleb. There's nothing wrong with drafting Caleb Williams, by the way. We're just going to be doing it with 5 draft picks, and I would be opposed to doing that. From what I see, Rich, Bates started. He started 15 games 2 years ago, and he played in all 17. Here's his stats right here. Let me pull this up on the screen here. So he started 15 games last season, plus it looks like 2 playoff games in 2022, and then he played in all 17 games for Buffalo in 2023. So he's a backup, and he was an undrafted free agent. So you know what I mean? Like I don't know that. Here's what I know, right? He's been playing for Buffalo all this time, and he's been on that line, and he's been good. No, he wasn't hurt in 2023. He was just he's coming off. He comes off the bench. So that I mean, like again, we got a guy who plays every game in the NFL for a 5th round pick. So I think it's great. I think it's great. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter. I'm not saying he's going to be a star, but he will be a solid player. And he looks ugly as F. Look at this. This dude has a face that only a pit bull could love. Look at this. Tell me that's not Chicago. Tell me that's not a Chicago face right there. He's got enough fur to keep himself warm when he's playing. I mean, come on. Like that's got Chicago written all of it. And he's got that silly smile, right? So people can be like, "Oh, quit smiling, you asshole," when he gives up a sack or something like that. I mean, he'll probably give up a sack. Well, you know what? Caleb be too busy fumbling. You know, Caleb Williams had 33 fumbles in 31 games. You know what I mean? And he was only 2-9 against ranked competition, right? So 33 fumbles. Guys, think for this for a second. 33 fumbles. 33 fumbles in 31 games. It means that he just gave the other team the ball, and he was only 2-9 against ranked competition. Wow. Wow. If he sucked any harder, he'd be sponsored by Hoover. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. Unbelievable. It's amazing, by the way. It's amazing. People are like, "Oh, this is the good guy." And by the way, I'm just messing around here. Uh, I assure you guys that if we get Caleb Williams, we're going to be a fortunate team, and we're going to have a good season. I think that Justin Fields is going to give us a better season. That's all I'm ever saying. And I just mess around with all these like Goat DR and people like that who come in here and they're like, "Hey, we got to have Caleb." Well, yeah, I mean, okay, look, just because you like sniffing dude's socks and buying them on Amazon, I don't even know if he sells them on Amazon, but you know what I mean? So right, Caleb Williams will have more pass yards in year 1 than Justin Fields ever gets in his career, which is dumb. That's like the dumbest hot take that you've ever seen. Of course, the team has been rebuilt. Justin played on one of the worst Bears teams for the last, I want to say 2 years. This last year, look, the last year they just were not ready to play when they started the season. This should have been a playoff team that missed the mark. And 5 games were decided by very, very, very close scores. There's no reason that they should not have. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you're look, I got a feeling that Goat DR probably has Caleb crying to his mom like on his phone so he can replay it while he's working out, like I love you, mommy, or whatever it is he does, or paints his fingernails the same way as Caleb. Or remember when Caleb wore a dress? He probably wears a dress like Caleb. You know, it says, "Hi, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I think you're wonderful. Block that kick, score a home run, or whatever you say." I don't know how you say it. I just assume that you say it that way. Anyway, so at least you got something right. The 2023 Bears were not a bad team. That's right. And it doesn't really matter. And you know what? That's a fair enough take, Goat. I'll accept that one because in my drafts the other day, I took JJ McCarthy at the number 9 pick over and over again. And I still came up with a much better team than if I had Caleb Williams. No matter what, I don't think Caleb Williams is the guy. I don't. And it's not because I don't even dislike Caleb Williams. It's just that I don't think he makes the team better. And that was all I ever said about it. So anyway, guys, Bears will deeply regret not taking Marvin Harrison Jr. and getting the haul. That's exactly what I say. So guys, listen, my normal time is 9:30 in the morning. So if you guys are not doing anything better, I'd be honored if you came and joined in and hung out. I don't normally do these night ones, but we had this move right here with Ryan Bates getting here. And then we got the hot news from Darnell Mooney. For those of you that didn't know, Darnell Mooney rejected a 3-year, $30 million contract from the Chicago Bears at the beginning of last year, wanting to play his way into a better contract. And then, of course, statistically had his worst year. Now, here's the thing. What I said was, I don't think it matters. I think Darnell's still going to get paid, and he's going to make a lot more than 10 million. Maybe, well, not a lot more. He'll make a little bit more than 10 million. Market, according to SpotRack, is 10.3 million. I think he'll get closer to like 12, 13 million. So, and it's not worth what Bears are not paying for that. That's way too much money. So, anyway, that's my time, guys. Time for me to go do my thing for the evening. I'll be live tomorrow. If you guys want to check me out at 9:30, if you haven't already, if you have, hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bear down. Ryan Bates will be here March 13. I think that upgrades the line tremendously, and we'll see what Ryan Poles does with the rest of the draft. You guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you again soon. I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways.